What's going on, guys? My name is Colin. I'm here at Anvil as the resident sneaker nerd.
That's right. The logo at the end of every video that's a sneaker, the Colin logo. This is
my
Colin.
Little C logo. That's me. Yeah, I'm behind a lot of the sneaker content here, and so in front of the camera, about to get into the LeBron 21.
LeBron James.
LeBron James is a 6'9", 250-pound, 39-year-old.
Big boy.
Why is he wearing a low-top basketball shoe when all the other 40-year-olds that I know at Rec League protect their ankles with like 2 ankle braces and the highest high-top basketball shoes that you can find? It's because you got to protect those ankles, right?
Right. Like when I was in high school, my high school basketball coach would have murdered me if I showed up with low tops on the court.
Yeah, I mean,
like everyone wore high tops.
Exactly.
It's just synonymous with basketball, high tops.
This shoe allegedly will protect LeBron's ankles as a low-top sneaker with some pretty interesting tech. Supposedly, it has a continuous 360-degree internal cage made out of cables that are supposed to lock in your foot and prevent you from breaking those old ankles.
So to figure out if that actually is a cage or if it's all just gimmicks, we're gonna cut it in half, run it through our test to really see if this LeBron low top is all just hype and just breaking people's ankles, or if there is actually something behind people wearing low top basketball sneakers when for the last 80 years, people have been wearing high tops.
Yeah.
And this is a start of a series called me and Colin are making videos together because for the last 3 years I've been trying to get Colin to make videos because he's way more knowledgeable about sneakers and he loves it a lot more than me. So I think it's gonna be a really cool dynamic with the more material science and my more boot style knowledge and your more sneaker knowledge, and we're gonna find a really cool way to tell the story of these boots and these shoes through the 2 different perspectives.
Yeah, exactly. One of the very first basketball sneakers was made by the Converse Rubber Shoe Company in 1917, and look at that. It was a high top. From 1917 to close to 2009, basketball shoes were, for the most part, highs or mids until 2009, when a player you may have heard of named Kobe Bryant, who really disliked cumbersome high tops, worked with Nike to give him the low-top basketball shoe that he really wanted in the Nike Zoom Kobe 4. Kobe cited his time playing soccer in Italy as a child as a big inspiration, noting that soccer players put way more torsion and strain on their ankles than basketball players ever do, and yet high-top soccer cleats really didn't exist. The difference is soccer cleats typically lock in your heel better than traditional basketball shoes at the time. Now, Kobe's product line shifting to lows has made ripples in the basketball shoe market since that point. And the ripples lead us back here to the 21 with LeBron. Now, Kobe was around 6'6", 210 pounds, and was known for his shot creation, body control, and amazing footwork. And all that extra ankle support of a high top really got in his way. LeBron's playstyle, however, is a little different, right? He's 6'9", 250 pounds. He's drawn comparisons to football players with the way he flies down the lanes. But in addition to his speed and strength, he has the footwork and tight ball handling skills to change directions in an instant. So for a player like LeBron, some extra protection would make a lot of sense, right? So why would a big man that plays with force and speed want to lose the ankle support like Kobe? And why so late in models 20 and 21? Let's cut these up. Take a look at how far LeBron's shoes have come and if they really are the big man's best performing basketball shoe.
This is a really popular micro adjust belt. I think a lot of people misunderstood how it all worked and what it is. So we made a little embossed stamp on the back to give you clear instructions on how this works, and it just turned out really cool. So let me show you how this works and why people love it so much, because this micro adjust belt came about because I was so sick of buying these nice leather belts. You buy it brand new, fits you perfectly. After a week, stretch it out just a little bit. Now one tight's too loose, one's too tight, and you wish you had a hole right in the middle. That's what this does. It literally splits the difference between each of these holes by making a tiny little adjustment here on the back. So the way you do that is you take this Allen wrench and you put it into the hex head top part of the Chicago screw. Now we've got them undone. So we're gonna take them out, and all we're doing is just shifting the holes to the next hole. So you can see there's a plus sign there. So if you shift it that way, it's gonna make it like half an inch bigger. If you shift it the other way, it's gonna make it half an inch smaller. And that is how you split the difference between one hole that's too tight and one's too loose. Little teeny micro adjust, it makes all the difference in the world. These are really popular, and we're just trying to build out our belt offering. So this is more of a casual belt, but stay tuned for more micro adjust stuff in a few different variations of belts. So check them out below. Thanks for supporting our business and everything we do, the handmade stuff we make here in the shop that support the YouTube channel. Plus you get handmade American goods made from American leather, made by us. What more could you ask for? Especially when it comes to making a belt actually fit you. So check them out below. Thanks, guys.
The brand, of course, is Nike. The shoe is the LeBron 21. These weigh in at a 15.4 ounces for a size 10.5. The price is $200 and they're made in Vietnam. Nike describes the LeBron XXI as having a cabling system that works with Zoom Air cushioning and a light low-to-the-ground design, giving you fluidity and explosiveness without excess weight. You can buy these shoes at our links below. Stay tuned because we're going to cut up a pair of Kobe's in this series, so you can learn more about Kobe's basketball shoes as well. So that's what Nike says about the shoe. Let's see if the marketing jargon actually means anything for cushioning stability. And let's start with the upper. We have
with
Weston
your
here.
local leather expert back on camera. So the cool thing about the shoe is the leather, or the design, was inspired by a clamshell, and it's supposed to kind of act like one by adding layers of protection to help contain the foot and stop it from rolling or spilling over top of the midsole or whatever it happens to be. And it's just one big continuous layer of leather that wraps all the way around the toe. So in like the dress boot or dress shoe world, this would be like a whole cut sneaker, which it takes a lot of leather. It takes more than you think, and it costs a lot of money because in order to get that big of a piece of leather, you can only get so many per hide. And so most sneakers, they patch them together, a bunch of different patches. This takes a ton of hide. And so how good is this leather actually? Well, we looked at the macro finish to see what this little pebbling thing is about, and it just looks like it's an embossed print on top of a nubuck, because you can see it has that little microfiber texture to it. We put the macroscopic lens on it to see if there's any grain in it, to see if it is actually a nubuck, and you can see there's plenty of grain in there, so it's not even a cheap nubuck that they've sanded all the grain off of. And as for like top coat, is there any plastic on it? We burned it, nothing seemed to be on the top. So actually a pretty decent leather for Nike. And even the thickness is not too bad. It's like 1.4, 1.5 millimeters thick. So right on par with most sneakers. I thought maybe since it was gonna be like this cage, it might be a little bit thicker, but I think with being able to see some of this cage on the inside, I think it makes sense that it's an average thickness of leather. And we also ran the puncture test. It took 52 pounds to puncture through, so not bad. It's enough that all the little things point to it being a strong enough leather to actually be an athletic leather. But the thing that really intrigues me is underneath the leather, you can see that that's that cage that we talked about, which is a lot more your area of expertise.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's pretty interesting. I'm really hoping that, you can see these peek through the eyelets. This looks like a continuous piece of cabling that goes around the entire shoe. I really hope it goes down to the strobel to, provide some more lockdown
like
around
anchored
the foot.
into the boot.
Exactly. But we'll have to see when we cut it up, but you can see where the cable is underneath this leather, and it'll be interesting to see if this is just an embossed print on the leather, or if this cable actually does go 360 degrees around the shoe.
Yeah, because it could easily just be like a little strand up here, and they emboss it to make it look like there's all these cables running through.
We'll have to take a look. Let's get back into the rest of the upper. So as we mentioned, that 360 degree cabling system, hopefully stitching something like this down underneath the shroud of leather kind of acts like a rib cage so that you don't blow out the side of your shoes like Zion Williamson, or especially if you're a big person like LeBron James. This extra reinforcement idea is not anything new. And in fact, if you take a look at the jungle boots that we reviewed from Vietnam, they have an added layer, extra support. Nike talks a lot about the breathability on these shoes as well in their claims. And we ran the breathability test, and it was super breathable through the tongue since it's a packaged perforated material. You can see there's just these giant holes that go all the way through. The next big claims by Nike are about the cushioning, that they give you explosiveness and fluidity. For a player like LeBron, cushioning and energy return is super critical, having to absorb all that shock when he comes down from blocks or shots. This shoe apparently has 2 Zoom units inside of it, one in the forefoot that's a Zoom turbo unit, and a high volume Zoom unit in the heel. What are Zoom units / Zoom Air? Well, Zoom Air is a highly pressurized airbag that has these internal filaments connected to either side of the bag to prevent it from deforming. Essentially, the fibers allow the bag to take on way more pressure and don't allow the air to rush from one side of the bag to the next, kind of like a partially deflated air mattress. If you want an even deeper dive on Zoom Air, go check out the Jordan 36 video. Apparently, this shoe also has 2 different densities of foam in it. We found a lot on this channel that dual density foams are kind of often faked. Go check out the Lululemon shoe for that. So it definitely feels like a different foam, but we'll have to see when we cut it in half. We did run the ball drop test on the inside of the heel to test that high volume Zoom unit, and it looks like we got number 9 overall on the list with a result of 16.4 inches. And then we also ran the bar drop test, and we tied for number 8 at 8 inches. Pretty good results. It looks like it has the responsiveness that they claim it does. That's enough speculating about the shoe just by itself. Let's cut it in half and see what's really going on. I'm excited to see those internal cables and see where they end up, and I'm really excited to see how big that Zoom unit is in the heel.
All right, we got it chopped in half together, so let's see what's inside.
Wow, so looking at the cushioning straight away, you can see that there actually are 2 zoom units in here. The 4-foot one, again, is a turbo unit, which has these interesting radio frequency welds in it that are basically flex notches that make the bag a little bit more agile and flexible around your toes. And then there's a beefy air unit in the heel. It's gonna absorb a lot of shock when someone like LeBron comes down on his heels. And then as far as the dual density foam, it does look like it's actually 2 different densities. So good on Nike for that. You can see this darker purple foam is actually a little softer when we tested it. It's about a 10 to 15 on the Shore A scale, which is interesting because on the exterior, it feels a lot harder. But then the lighter colored purple foam that makes up the rest of the midsole is measuring in right around a 20 Shore A. So a lot softer actually than the heel, which is interesting. The small shank seems kind of weird. Usually the running shoes and basketball shoes that we cut up have a full length plate, and they're typically made out of carbon fiber like the Jordan 11, 36, and 37. Moving on to the upper, there are a lot of layers in this shoe. We're gonna have to push it further and dissect it a little bit to see where those cables go. And then you have a full length lining that's super comfortable, really breathable looking. One of the craziest things about this upper is the heel counter. The heel counter is really beefy. At the widest point, it measures in about 7 millimeters. Even the burliest Pacific Northwest boots that we've cut up on the channel are about 5 millimeters. This is just one example of the kind of design and engineering that has to go into a low top basketball shoe to give you superior stability and lockdown. Basically, all of the ankle protection happens from locking in that heel. We did go ahead and dissect the leather panel off to reveal the entire cabling system. Does it work? Well, I thought the cables were gonna run all the way down to the strobel and create sort of a support cradle for your foot for added stability, but unfortunately they don't. They stop right here at what's called the bite line. They're just stitched in there. So they don't necessarily work the way that I was hoping or wanting them to, but added stitching and added cabling really do provide a level of rigidity and some stability to this fabric section. It's kind of disappointing though that they don't go all the way down to the strobel. So are high top basketball shoes no longer needed? It's tough to say. I think for some players, having the added material is a nice cue to your body to feel supported. But really, if your heel is adequately locked in with a beefy heel counter like this, usually ankle stability will follow that. The function of this cabling system might be a bit of a gimmick. I don't know how well it functions in practice, and I'm pretty upset that it doesn't go all the way down to the strobel for better lockdown. I think the additional stitching and cables does increase the rigidity of this textile panel, making it feel a little bit more stable, but it doesn't quite provide the lockdown that I was hoping it would. The cushioning aspects seem to be there still. LeBron shoes have always been best in class for premium cushioning, and the tests show that it definitely gives you a lot of rebound. Nike Zoom still reigns supreme for now. All this being said, is it worth $200? Well, I think it's a highly technical build, but if you can get it on sale when the new model inevitably drops or other colorways, I would say it's definitely worth it. As a functional piece of basketball footwear, this is just the first of several that we're cutting up. So right now it ranks here on our list, wherever that is. But stay tuned for more basketball shoe reviews and let me know how I did. What do you want to see out of these reviews? Make sure to subscribe. That's the only way that I can force Weston to buy crazy technical shoes that I want us to cut up. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.